DJ is G. The DJ is G. The DJ is G.
First, I structured a series of tools, acapella loops, beat loops, and then I took the tracks from my label Undr The Radr and I created an on-the-spot remix session using 4 CDJ 2000 Nexus 2s. So everything starts within Recordbox. You prepare, but you allow yourself to react. What I've done is I've gone through my tracks. I selected a list of ones that I felt would embody the vibe that I wanted to lay down. But I also made it long enough to give me the ability to change things at a moment's notice. For me, organization is extremely important. I create my playlists. I tend to lay them out by underground, deep house, or techno, or whatever it is, acapellas, beats, and I'll lay them out in a way that makes sense for me structurally. And then when I get to the actual performance, I know the starting point. I prepared different loops using different sections of the records. It also allows me a bigger palette of loops. With the Nexus 2s, what I've found is that they're very precise. It allows me to do backwards loops that are right on time. I can scroll and find every single track and every loop point. Bank A has 4 hot cues, which allows me to access 4 loops that I've created. And then a second bank, which is Bank B, which allows me within the same CDJ to switch over to an additional extended palette within the same 4 CDJ hot cue buttons. I had one acapella that's saying the DJ is G, the DJ is G, and then I switched into the next one, which has a delay echo climb that I can then hit the drum roll and start an intro without having to go to another CDJ.
DJ is G. The DJ is G. The DJ is G. No, 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 no.
The color effects really work for me, especially with the space effect, as what I'll do is I'll bring that up and it kind of, let's say you have an open hi-hat, it creates this long reverb on the open hi-hat without affecting, let's say, the rest of the track. That tends to be very, very useful when I want to create a bit of dynamic tension within a track, especially if I'm mixing another one in. And then I'll use that for the filter sweeps when I want to add, again, more of that resonance to it and create a bigger moment. With the beat effects, it allows me very quickly to jump to, let's say, quarter note, 3/4 note delays, which I tend to use quite frequently. I tend to use different delays and I'll either use it across the master route or I may actually just use it within one track while I'm mixing to create almost a drum roll but with a different sound. When I get it down to 1/8 to 1/16, it creates this burr type of sound, which is very metallic, but really kind of adds that tension, especially when I'm about to drop. It's allowed me to really quickly scroll through the different types of parameters without having to just kind of hunt for it or just, tap the button. It's at the fingertip right there. This is primarily useful for me for delays. Like, let's say I want to affect the snare or the hi-hats, but I just want to make sure that the kick still stays constant. I'll take out the low end and then I'll have the kick continuously going, but I'll have that kind of high-end snare or hi-hat roll. Conversely, I may just want the bottom end to create a kick drum roll, in which case I'll just take out the high and the mid and just have the low, and then you've got the mid and highs continuing while I'm bringing in this kind of snare roll on the kick. So it's really allowed me to customize how I do the effects. And when I'm doing the reverb throws, I tend to put it on 100 to get this really huge choir hall long reverb, and I tend to do that with big breakdowns and to create kind of like this sweeping growth crescendo. And if I want to have it as a very, very bassy one, then I'll leave all the frequencies in. But if I want to, let's say, just make it as a mid-range or high, I'll just cut out the low end. So it's acting like a 3-way crossover. What I've noticed is that I've become far more fluid in how I adapt to my live performance. So a lot of changes that I make that are minute, that are momentary, that are just inspired by the crowd. And I think it's allowed me to become more dynamic in my performance. And at the same time, still be very focused on the crowd, but know exactly what I'm doing. It's kind of like flying the cockpit of a plane that you've flown all your life, but they've just upgraded it and put like some nitrous or something, some next level warp on it. And it's kind of like warp factor 4 before, now we're on warp factor 10. So every time I get into the booth, it's time to blast off.